welcome back to another Era Quinn Calodrum. We have been busy. Somebody's working hard at work and at school. Got a really exciting school play coming up that our whole family's excited about, and lots of local people here are. And we've got some great stuff going on with this hobby. So we're a little bit delayed on the video. Thank you guys for being patient with us. We were recently up in Peterborough, Ontario, for the most recent event, which was called Crossroads?
Yeah, Crossroads.
So we have lots of fun naming events around here, and folks who organized that one, thank you, Mike Collins, and all the guys from Peterborough who hosted us. It was great to be able to be up there again. Dueling Grounds is a fantastic venue, and the guys there, credit to you guys. Always great hosts. They take good care of us up there. We have some good fun up there. They gave some really nice compliments to Mike for organizing the event, so good on you, Mike. And we love to fill their place. So apparently we're one of the highlights for the year for them, that we do fill the place up and keep them busy and make some exciting noise there. So that's good to know. So that was good news. And we had a lot of fun. What were some highlights from the event for you?
Well, I've got a little bit of a rivalry going on right now.
He's doing really well in our league right now.
In the league right now, fighting for the top, in my opinion. Right now it is me and Ben.
Well, it's not an opinion, it's true. So we track stats in our league. We have 100-point events and 80-point events. We're inspired by the GBHL model. We're a much smaller and younger league than the GBHL is, but definitely. We are 4 years running right now. We've got a good 100 people on the leaderboard, so that's a good deal. The events are all around our province, which is a big province. There's it's a good hike to drive from one end to the other. And we usually have monthly events, and the monthly events are a lot of fun. A great opportunity to build a hobby and see more gamers and just get to know people. We've got lots of good friends we don't live close to. We see them at these events. So once a month, we'll go to an event, and somebody's been doing pretty well. And there's a small group of key guys that just every year do very well. So kudos to Drew and Ben and Joseph and Garrett and Don and Adam are always at the top. So Adam and Ben and Steve Stokes is also a consistent turnout. So these three guys did really, really well this time. We'll talk about what we learned in a minute, but since we're talking about it, we might as well give him kudos. So this time, Ben won. Ben Boomer, congrats to him. Second place was Adam Marcel, and Steve Stokes came in third. Great guys, great to play with. Competitive, but gentlemanly. You can actually enjoy playing with them while they're being competitive, which is a great thing. So highlights from the event, though.
Well, if I had won this tournament, then I would have straight up won the league, and there would have been even no need to go to the GT. I still would have gone to the GT, but obviously I didn't win this tournament.
Somebody's trying to do competitive this year.
First round of the tournament, I am paired against Ben. In Reconnoiter, I have Goblin Town. He has a low model, high hero strike Gondor. So he's got Huron the Tall, Faramir, and Boromir. Easy clap. I was supposed to dominate that game. I also had a shade, just throwing it out there. I did have a shade, I'm sorry. But basically, it was a done scenario. I just had the mission. There was no way he could beat me, theoretically. So I relaxed. I let my guard down a little bit. We were playing a really chill game. It actually ended up, I didn't end up getting anyone off because we were playing a little slow and because I made some mistakes. The one big mistake that cost me the game, because I was being so chill, I forgot to call a heroic strike. Now, this was in a fight where it was Grinna plus 7 other guys versus Faramir on his horse.
Stack of goblins on a hero they could beat with a heroic strike, but they need the strike.
This is way off on the side. So this is there are two separate battles happening. It's my whole army, Goblin King and Shade versus Boromir and Huron, and then it's Faramir and literally 4 knights off on the side against Grinna and 25 goblins. So Grinna plus 7 other guys are on Faramir. Faramir has no might at this point. Grinna still has full might. Heroic strike, higher fight value. I win the fight. He's trapped. He's dead. I don't heroic strike. He rolls a 6. He wins the fight. Grinna dies. Not long after that, my army breaks, and then I have no hero sticking around to do a standfast. All the goblins run. He gets a guy off the table.
One guy.
Singular
game-winning guy right there.
That was the game right there. It was a 5-3 loss for me. I ended up that 3-point guy to get off.
Little lessons out of that. If you're playing competitive, you can't make little mistakes like this. You gotta think ahead about what your strategy is. You gotta be sharp on it.
Immediately after, I remembered to use my shade. That's something I usually struggle with. I forget to use the shade. I remembered to use the shade, forgot to call the heroic strike, and that lost me the game.
So, and maybe afterwards too, Goblin Town with a shade. At this point, if you watch our Goblin Town strategy video, he explains when and where and why you would use a shade. Yeah. But we're kind of second guessing that a little bit. This time, I don't know if the shade really helped.
Well, I still stick by it. I think it's disgusting.
I actually had to play him in one of the games when we were there, and in the game we played, his shade was a detriment. It was 100 points of goblins he could have had.
That was a very rare scenario, though. Like,
it's true.
We were playing Fog of War, so deployments way back at the edge, and he was playing a Mirkwood Ranger army, which I've talked about this at length in the Goblin Town video. I'm actually not terrified of fighting Mirkwood Rangers. Like, usually with Goblin Town, I can slap them. Just because you march across the table, they get enough archery into you. You're not broken by the time the lines meet, and usually once lines meet, you can just cut through them because they're D3.
It takes a lot of work, but you have guys to grind with, and that's the point of the Goblin Town army. You can do that. It takes a lot of work, and you got to be ready. You're going to lose a lot of your goblins on the march. You're going to lose a lot of goblins on the march. Especially a Mirkwood Ranger army was a lot of bows. So he lost a lot of guys in the way.
Optimized list.
But as soon as you do the march, I mean, eventually you're going to get there. You got enough goblins to get there. When you get there, they're losing guys that are a lot more expensive than you are. You just grind, and every time it grinds, I mean, the balance tips. We can watch our strategy video. You'll see him explain that really well. And there it does. When the balance tips, Goblin Town just kills whatever's left. It's bad news for the opponent.
The issue in this version that we played, since I had a shade, I didn't have my faction bonus. And without your faction bonus, Goblin Town isn't as hoardy as it can be.
You need more heroes.
I know people have differing opinions about this. Devin even made his own tactical video on this.
Which is also good. You should watch that too.
Definitely. The captains, they're a crucial part of the way you play Goblin Town. The insane amount of might you can put on the table. Once you lose your faction bonus, you're forced to take more of them. So, as a result, my 600-point Goblin Town list with a shade had less models than my 500-point list without it. Which, I didn't realize this until I actually got to the event, because I didn't write my list until I got to the event.
We've been busy, working, school, and everything, so he was
and I also
a little bit procrastinating.
I had to make lists for my other two buddies who were at this event, too. Oh, and
it's Kyle, good. The hobby's growing.
Make your own armies. Sorry.
Hobby's growing. We've got more people playing, so it's great.
But, yes, it was awesome. I get to the event, I write my list. I knew I wanted to take a shade because I've won tournaments before with the shade, and I've won tournaments before with Goblin Town, and just perfect mix. And I've done this before.
Sometimes. But you got to know how to play it.
I wrote the list and realized I was only 48 models. I looked at Kyle, who was sitting next to me. My list is only 48 models. And he's like, what are you complaining about? And I'm like, it's only 48 models.
It's Goblin Town. How do you play Goblin Town with that few models?
Like, actually, no, it was crazy. I was actually, like, terrified for a second, but I didn't want to rewrite my list because I was already there. And, like, that just felt dishonest because I'd also seen the competition. But anyway, so basically, I felt off as soon as we got there.
Lessons. Plan a little further in advance.
Yes.
Because then you don't throw yourself off when you show up at the event. So good on him for staying honest and not changing his list. But we've seen other people do that. Show up with two lists and they pick one based on what happens in the room. That's not the right way to play. You should just decide what you're going to play and play it. And then when you get to the event, it doesn't throw you off. That's one. But then two, specific to Goblin Town. Watch the strategy videos. There's a lot more to say about the shade. We should probably stop here. Did you learn anything new that's different from what's in the strategy video?
No, I didn't.
So watch the strategy video.
I didn't actually learn really anything from this event, except for the fact that I need.
But watch out and don't make the silly mistakes that cost him his game that time.
Yeah,
so
that was
Ben, good on you. You're great guy to play. He's a gentleman to play against, and he's sharp and he does not make mistakes.
I'm not complaining about the game.
I can say of the times that I've played Ben, there's one other guy in our league that does this to me too. I beat myself more than he's beat me, and he gets the points for it. So when that happens, I feel bad. Like, you walk through the game, and you can look back and say, if I had done this and this, the whole game would have been differently, and he just didn't make mistakes. I did. Yeah. So you got to own that and learn from it.
If I had remembered to Heroic Strike, it would have been a 3-2 victory.
But he was great to play, and they were good about it. So
we had fun the whole game. So, we were joking.
Best painted
all the time.
It was a good-looking event, if I may say. We had our local crowd has been upping its game. We're seeing more and more display boards. We're seeing more and more really well-painted armies. We're learning from each other. I think a lot of us would be very humbled if we played in Britain. There's a lot of very much more talented people over there.
We look at the average painted armies and we're like, whoo!
Yep, that's good stuff. So, but over here, what we're seeing is general increase. We have a kind of unwritten rule in the league that we like to have a lot of grace for new players, and we like to have new players. So we're just happy to have them there. If they come with an unpainted army, we don't care. We're glad they're there. And we give them a good 3 events before we start challenging them to go paint their armies. Unwritten rule, it's not hard and fast, depends on the people. If their stage of life is really crazy and they just don't have time, that's fine, lots of grace. We just want new people playing. So this event, We had a couple of people who were newer, but basically all the armies were painted well to a good standard, and most of them had good-looking display boards. So the best painted part of the competition was actually a really good competition. It was great. Blake Dixon from ASBGA
sneaks up into our country
he's
and takes
just
all our prices.
brilliant artist. Blake, if you're watching this, like, kudos to you, buddy. Really, really clever guy who comes up with good ideas on how to make his stuff look good, and then he just executes brilliantly. Picked up a laser cutter, cut a whole bunch of fancy bases for his Rivendell army. It's beautiful. He did a really great job.
Oh man!
And it made me jealous because his bases were so easy. He literally stuck the design in the machine, and the laser did all the work, and they look great. So he must have done a lot of work on the design before it went into the machine. But
not to mention,
I work a lot harder on my bases than he did, and his looked way better than mine. So
not to mention the fact that his paint quality is so ridiculously high that it flusters people.
Doesn't fluster. It was beautiful.
It's amazing.
Really, really good looking armies though.
Like his average honorable mentions are better than most people's heroes.
Well, and I'll say honorable mentions. Because Blake, obviously, he did a good job. But honorable mentions, I think Nick Vanny's Shire army looked really good. He won a best painted not long before that. The Corsair army that Adam Marcel brought looked really good. Beautiful display board. He worked clear hard on that. Really glad to see that one look good. I worked hard on my Mirkwood, and I felt pretty humble beside these guys. I think my display board was great. My army didn't look as good as these guys, but I tried. And there were at least 3 more. Steve Stokes has been working on a whole collection of display trays, so he's got several, and they're all looking really good. I like his Dwarven ones the best. Who else did we see?
The statues?
Yeah, he didn't bring that this time. Sorry, maybe I'm talking out of school. He didn't bring it this time, but it's a good looking display, so he did a really good job on that. Who else? Can you remember anymore?
Oh.
There's so many more worth mentioning. We'll do a reel at the end of this. We'll show you pictures of the armies.
In the game.
Yeah.
Even if I'm losing.
So, great event. Thanks so much, Mike, for running it. We will definitely be back next year. Really, really glad to have you there. The Ontario League, Ontario Canada OSBGL, our home league. The Ontario League Grand Tournament, annual Grand Tournament, is coming up next month. So we are starting to get our act together and think about that.
Yet again.
Somebody has his place in the league on the line for this one. Ben just snuck a couple points ahead of him, and he is very able to take it back if he places properly in the next league. It's going to be harder for Ben to catch him.
Second year in a row, all comes down to the GT.
Which is good. Good competitive stuff going on. At our GT, we, as a league, we've been working pretty hard to make sure that there are prizes, not just for the generals, although we want prizes for the generals because that's part of the grand event at the end of the year. That's important. But we want prizes for other things, too. So we do. We have several prizes for other things coming up. We'll talk about that with the league video. Don and Garrett and Drew, they do a great job with the league video, so we'll leave that to them. We'll do our review after the event. We'll tell you our thoughts of what we learned there. But this event's a big one in Ontario, and it's sort of a bit of everything. There's prizes for the people who have been working hard all year to win lots of events. There's prizes for the craftsmen and the hobbyists. Prizes for the ambassadors who are trying to build the hobby, which for us is really important. Some areas of the world, they have leagues that are much more mature and established than ours. We're doing well with 100 people on our leaderboard. But a lot of our events do struggle a little more to get people out, and all of our events, a good, strong event in Ontario will be 40, 45 people. An average event in Ontario will be 20 to 30 people. A newer event in Ontario will be teens, low teens. So we still have quite a mix of events, and the community is strong, but there's a lot of room to grow and see those, especially those smaller events, the teen events, get up into the 20s and have a good pool of people in a bunch of our urban centers. So we celebrate the guys who are working hard at doing that. So I won't say anything more about that because I don't want to give anything away out of turn. I'm on the admin team, so I have the inside track on who we're thinking about giving the Ambassador Award to this year. Hint, hint.
I know absolutely nothing about
I keep it secret from him. And this year I'm going to help run the GT event. I'm not going to be able to play, but it'll be great to be there. He's going to play.
Coming at you, Ben.
All right. Just a couple more updates from this month. And we, of course, call this playlist in our channel the Word from the Mark, but we had no play on words intentional there, but Word from the Mark is Word from the Mark this time around. A lot of good stuff going on in the Mark.
Oh, man.
So this book's a great book. Really, really happy with this book. Want to say just a couple quick highlights first, and then I'll say mine?
Well, I have like 3 points. One, they've included a bunch of new stuff in this. So, I mean, I don't mean like new content. I mean like different types of content. So they thought
building
to
on what's already
include battle companies in this, which I thought was an
deal.
Interesting choice.
Well, so what does that mean? These books from GW, it's a good business play on GW's part to keep modernizing and increasing the content, the volume of content as they go. The Battle Companies game book and the SBG rulebook, or
Yep.
they define the two games. These are two games that
They're
we play.
entirely separate.
And they're completely related in every way. They use all the same characters and all the same basic rule set, but they're very different in their play. One is, I mean, they're both skirmish games, but the Battle Companies is a very small skirmish game, and you can get into more epic battles that are right out of the Lord of the Rings books and movies with the SBG game, strategy battle game. These books update now both, not just the SBG game. There's a Battle Companies update in this book. So now all of a sudden these these biannual releases, War for Gondor, we had the Shire book come out, War for Rohan now. Who knows what other great ideas they've got in the cooker right now, but there's more coming.
Please.
Well, we've got some stuff we'd love to see. But the fact that Battle Companies is in here, that's a big deal. So that's really exciting to see. Really, really happy that it's a Dunlending's Battle Company. So we'll leave that for another discussion, but that was a good one. What else?
Another thing, Legendary Legions. They're continuing the trend of making new Legendary Legions that sound epic enough that everyone wants to try them.
And I liked, personally, if I may, the Legendary Legions in here are mixed. There's a couple of brand new ones with new armies. Dunland is not a new army, really, but it is now. The way they've done it, it's totally different than what it was
before. Forgive me, Andreas, but it was not an army before.
So now Dunland is a very viable faction in and of its own. It's not really a faction. It's part of the Isengard faction, but the Legendary Legion for Dunland makes it its own thing, and it does, I think, a pretty admirable job of that. Several other new armies that are, again, not new armies within Rohan.
We're seeing more of this trend.
Helm is here now, so you've got a whole other era from Rohan, and Helm is like an Elendil style.
We're not going to say anything, but yes, he is basically a remake of Elendil.
No, he's
the whole army.
Very, very appropriate lore. Like, really, very good story.
Yeah.
And they've got some good scenarios, and they've a lot of work in the scenarios in here. I'm really intrigued by the amount of work that the Middle Earth team puts into these scenarios. It really says something about the attention that they're giving this, so I'm impressed. But yeah, Helm has his own story, and he's got his own version of Rohan to go with it, which is cool. And some old stuff back again. There's some new Legendary Legions for Isengard. It used to be a very popular army.
Give Isengard some love.
Lots of people have Isengard models. Isengard hasn't been showing up at a lot of tournaments lately.
No.
Not as much as it used to. People still bring it, but it's not one of the more common ones right now.
Literally like one army at every event. It's diehards. But it's literally like all it is.
Isengard's back in a big way now. They got 3 different legions. There's some
all
neat
of which
rules
are
in here.
insane in their own way.
That's a good thing, the way you say it. So, highlights. Last highlight for you, and then I've got one. You probably know what I'm thinking about.
Yes.
Fanghorn.
I don't think I have any other highlights really to mention.
Talk about Fanghorn. Quick Beam and Beach Bone. I was so excited to see those profiles. So thank you, SBG team. Yay for Quick Beam and Beach Bone. Fanghorn has needed some love.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I was disappointed. This book is so well done. Fanghorn is my sort of dear love in the background of this hobby.
It's his army that he collects and never plays.
Because it doesn't work. I'm sorry. I know Fanghorn super well. It doesn't work. Not even in these scenarios does Fanghorn work.
But let's not get into that here. Let's save that for an army.
We'll save that. We'll do an army review on it. But it's such a great army. And Quick Beam and Beach Bone add something to it. And the scenarios that are set up in here are going to make Fanghorn fun to put on the table. Which that's good. That's good. And it'll end up being really, really great scenario play. Fanghorn still doesn't work in a tournament context, unfortunately. I'll explain why in another video. Long and short of it is model count. If you're going to spend 120 points on an Ent, you got to compare it. You got to compare it to a 120-point Gundabad troll. That troll is going to be much more worthwhile than the Ent is.
Compare it to a warband of goblins.
Like,
I have I have
2 warbands of goblins.
with the faction bonus, I can get it in 1. Well, actually, no,
it's a little insane.
Actually, no, hold up.
I got to spend 120 points on 1 Ent. You get 2 warbands.
No, hold up. 4 times 6.
Sorry, so he's going to do math.
Sheesh. Anyway.
I think Fanghorn badly needs a horn profile. They need something that is not 120 points. They need to be able to do something about their numbers. Fanghorn as a faction it's a hard-hitting, low numbers faction, which right away means you throw it in some scenarios like Reconnoiter.
They just can't win.
How are you going to win that? You throw it in a scenario like Seize the Prize. An Ent is not going to be able to take out a stack of big heroes, and the rest of the infantry can tie people up. So if the Ent gets lucky enough to actually go in there, say Quick Beam, with his movement, heroic marches, pulses 8 inches, and can run in there. So, okay, you got an Ent who can move now. Get him in there, dig up the prize. He gets the prize. He's a tough guy to get the prize away from. But he's only defense 8. He's not that tough.
And he can't strike.
If you put 100 points worth of crossbows into him, he's done. And you put 100 points worth of almost any kind of infantry into him, he's having a hard time. Sorry, Ents just don't work. I love Ents. I'm going to play them anyway because I love them. The scenarios, those will work. These guys play test the scenarios. Honestly, I haven't played any of them yet. I'm taking this totally on trust on SBG team because you guys rock and work so much harder than I do on this stuff. the scenarios, I'm sure they work. But I think this was my opportunity for the next, I don't know how many years, to see something come out of the Battle of Helm's Deep when the Ents and the Horns take over the fields and they purge all of the filth and they leave Rohan to be Rohan again. I was so hoping for a Horn.
Or even just a restless tree.
That would have been okay too. Yeah.
Like,
so the scenarios
forest
are great.
Moves. Come on.
The scenarios are great. Really, the scenarios are great.
Yep.
Fanghorn's going to be fun to play. I am also interested because there's 2 movie pictures in the book. Movie picture for Beachbone and for Quickbeam. What we've seen in the past is that when these books have movie pictures, they often don't get into the queue to get a new set of plastics or a new Forge World model.
Warbats, etc.
Lots of examples. Hey, the guys at Middle Earth team are busy, which is such a good thing. They've been putting out so many new models. It's been really exciting. And these books, the writers are brilliant. It's easier to write a book and add a lot more content than it is to get a lot of models done. So the modeling team, I think, is forever going to be behind the book team. Like, if I was betting, there are some models in here that I think we're going to see that are going to be far more exciting than Quickbeam and Beachbone. So I think I'm just going to have to wait. I think Fanghorn's not going to get the love I was hoping.
Forge World, if for whatever reason you're watching this, make Ents. People will buy them, even if they're overpriced. Even if people will buy them. Don't even worry about it.
If you need help, go to the guys at Shadow and Flame. They had some awesome sculpts, and they would help you. I'm sure they would.
Great.
Very, very good. Actually, I think the Shadow and Flame the Birch model that they did once upon a time is going to be my Beachbone, I think. He looks pretty close. So, just saying. All right, so we had some good stuff going on there. Some great new models. We've got the Saruman Grima pack here.
They are
so well sculpted. Very, very happy with these models. And we've got just lots of other good things coming. So I think we're pretty much done for now, though. We should cut ourselves off. We will be back in a month with our grand tournament. And between now and then, we're going to get some other videos done. We've got a lot of hobby we got to get caught up on.
Don't make a commitment we can't keep.
Christmas is coming. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic holiday with people that you love and people who love you. Play with your plastic stuff. Get your toy soldiers out. Make some memories with people you care about. We're going to try to get some crafting done. We've got a few conversion projects that we hope will turn into videos sometime in the next couple of months. We've got some display boards that we'll show you. And we've got some other adventures that we're going to go on that should show up in a new, a new playlist. We've got a whole playlist we haven't started yet that we're so excited about. And we just don't have time.
Time consuming. Oh, man.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Day jobs. If nobody had to have day jobs, then we could just play.
Well, if nobody had to have school.
Just wait till you're an adult. All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us some comments if you have any questions or comments about what we've been talking about. And go play with your toy soldiers. There's lots of good fun waiting this month. We're pretty excited.
Lots of new stuff coming out.
Pretty
new toys
excited.
to buy, and new toys to paint, and new toys to go on a shelf and probably never pull off again.
Don't talk like that. Blasphemy.
Hey, can you honestly, people watching, comment below if you have stuff that you have bought, left in a box, or not even put together, and you still like...
For shame.
I'm new.
Stop.
I'm new into this hobby. I
me.
still have 4 armies I haven't put together. We're not even going to talk about how many armies you
I have decided I'm not allowing myself to buy a new army until I finish painting at least one of the ones that's on the shelf. So,
just to be clear, my goal was not to guilt trip anybody. But, oh my goodness. Backlog.
Kids.
Backlog.
All right, my Govan, and thanks so much for watching. Great to have some time with you. And we'll see you again soon.